With us now from Capitol Hill is South Dakota Senator John Thune, chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. That makes him the third-ranking Republican in the Senate. Senator Thune, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks. Good to be with you.
Let's begin first with your colleague, Senator John McCain. How is the news of his brain cancer affecting all of you in the Senate?
That diagnosis was made this an incredibly sad day, as you would expect on Capitol Hill. John McCain is beloved up here on both sides of the aisle. He is a hero to me and to all of our colleagues and to millions of Americans and people literally all over the world. So we are all hoping and praying for him and for Cindy and his family as he battles this.
He says he's going to be back at work. You don't doubt him, right?
He is relentless. He's a warrior. I've traveled, outside the United States a number of times with him, and I've seen him work guys half his age into the ground. He is a remarkable individual.
It is remarkable also how well he is spoken of in the Senate in terms of his ability as a warrior, as you have said. Can we turn to health care and where we stand today?
Right, Charlie. Well, at the moment, we are trying to get to 50 votes in the Senate on something that would repeal and replace Obamacare. We know that the markets are collapsing, prices have been skyrocketing for people in this country, and something has to be done. But the one thing that's becoming very clear is that I think that among our members at least, a one-size-fits-all solution out of Washington just really isn't going to work. And I think one of the fundamental flaws of Obamacare is it tried to define in federal law for the entire country what health insurance is. And I think what we're hearing from our members is every state's different. Every state has different populations. Governors have different ideas. And I think anything that's effective and ultimately passes the Senate is going to have to distribute and shift authority and power and flexibility back to the states.
Yeah. President Trump said you're very close to getting something done. Is that how you'd characterize it?
Well, I guess I would say that we're going to need a little longer runway. I don't think we're getting close. We are, but we still have some issues that we have to resolve, and we've got some members who aren't quite there yet. So we don't have the 50 votes that we're going to need to get this across the finish line just yet, but I think eventually we will.
Go ahead.
The president publicly pressuring you not to go on your vacation and take your recess. One day he's saying to repeal it. The other day he's saying to repeal and replace it. One of your colleagues in the Senate, your Republican colleague, said the president scares no one in the Senate, not even the pages. What is your reaction to that?
Well, look, I think that the president has an important role to play, and particularly he's got the bully pulpit, and his role is with the American people and engaging them in the conversation about why it's important that we fix this. I think senators up here obviously look to him for leadership in that respect, and his team's been very involved in the day-to-day conversations that we're having about this, but ultimately it's a function of the Congress. We have to get this done. The House has acted, the Senate now has a responsibility to act, and I think the American people will and should hold us accountable.
You are aware of this New York Times interview with the president, obviously. Does this make it difficult for your former colleague, Jeff Sessions from Alabama, now the Attorney General, to continue when the president says what he says?
Well, I guess what I would say to that, Charlie, is sort of Jeff Sessions, we all admire and respect him and his abilities. If I were him, I would just do his job well, and sort of ignore the daily news cycle coming out of the White House, because I don't expect that's going to change, and I think he's got an important job to do, one that we confirmed him for here in the United States Senate, and I think he has the confidence certainly of people here on Capitol Hill and folks at the Justice Department, and that's what's most important.
Do you have concerns about the meetings that President Trump has had with Russian President Vladimir Putin? The first meeting, which went longer than expected, 2 hours, where there was no note taker, only the Secretary of State in that room to provide a readout. And then the second meeting and conversation that happened at a dinner. Do you think that's appropriate? Should there be others who help record those conversations?
I think it's probably always good for the president to have his top advisors, foreign policy, national security people in the room for a meeting like that. I don't think it's unusual for a president to have conversations with foreign leaders. I think we would expect that. But, obviously there's a lot of attention being paid to that relationship with Russia right now, and I think the president has to be sensitive to that. But I certainly would expect, in most circumstances at least, that he would have those people in those meetings who are going to be critical to shaping America's foreign policy with respect to Russia and other places around the world.
Yeah, there are reports of concerns within his inner circle and his administration about his relationship with Vladimir Putin. Senator John Thune, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Senator.
You
Thank you, Senator.